starts now.
It's not as big as Houston, but Port Arthur, Texas may be in worse shape now. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The mayor of the city, 90 miles from Houston, says virtually every home is underwater, urging people to get to higher ground. Even a shelter full of evacuees flooded early this morning and needed to be evacuated.
They don't have enough people to answer 911 calls. We were seeing there was one woman who was on Twitter saying, my phone battery is at 9%. I don't have power. I can't charge it up. I'm pregnant and I have no way to get out of here. Please, asking people that her friends on Twitter to keep calling 911 for her.
Fox's Rob Schmidt in also flooded Sugar Land. The National Weather Service has also issued a flash flood emergency for 5 southeast Texas counties as Tropical Storm Harvey makes a third landfall moving into Louisiana.
Thus far, things are not going as bad as we had feared, and we're hopeful that we're going to be able to get through the next 24 hours or so without a tremendous amount of damage.
Governor John Bell Edwards, more than a foot of rain could fall in some areas. In Houston, the sun just came up.
The end of the rain may be in sight.
But Mayor Sylvester Turner says the flooding could still worsen in his city. Fox's Evan Brown is there live.
Yeah, Dave, when Pastor David Steen opened up his Memorial Drive Presbyterian Church as a shelter, he didn't dream he'd get so many donations of food and clothes he'd have to share with other shelters.
But it's also indicative of Houston. Houston is an amazingly entrepreneurial and generous city.
His church will be home to a few hundred people for now. Cedric Hager helped pull his neighbors to safety when the bayou flooded his condo.
I was in the military, so a cot is like a bed to me anyway. I don't know that I'll sleep anytime soon. The first thing I did is got a bunch of coffee.
But these folks will need to find a place to stay for the long term, Dave.
At least 18 people have died in the storm. A missile shot down at sea. The U.S. successfully tested a defense system from a warship off the coast of Hawaii, right after North Korea's recent missile launch, and the country's leader is promising more. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Can you mow a yard, clean a house, haul off some junk? Then you can make extra money with the Tackle app. Tackle is an amazing new app that connects people who can perform small jobs with customers who need them done. Signing up is easy, so become a Tackle provider today. Go to Tackle.com to join. That's TAKL.com. As a Tackle provider, you can be your own boss, set your own hours, and make great money. Go to TAKL.com today.
Men, if you're like me, you appreciate the feeling of a smooth, clean shave. But you're tired of paying $32 for new blades. Stop messing around with those generic razors and start shaving with Harry's for half the price. Harry's is so confident in the quality of their blades, they'll send you their most popular shave set, shaving cream, and post-shave balm for free when you cover shipping, a total value of $20. Just go to harrys.com now and enter code 0707 at checkout to redeem your shave set. That's harrys.com, code 0707.
A second major shelter has opened in Houston following Harvey's landfall and is welcoming the first of up to 10,000 evacuees. At least 2,000 have already arrived. You can expect gas prices to make a jump in New Jersey because of that hurricane. Analyst Patrick Dehan says a gradual increase of up to 15 cents over the next few weeks is likely.
It's a temporary pinch at the pump. Going to be a little uncomfortable for those hitting the road for Labor Day.
But prices should calm down in a few weeks. That goes along with a dip in prices due to the end of the summer driving season. The Miss America competition officially kicks off in Atlantic City this morning with a welcoming ceremony. The 51 contestants will meet the public as a group later today. Then preliminary competitions begin. The new Miss America will be crowned on national TV September 10th. Police are looking for a guy who freaked out at the cost of candy and started busting up a mini-mart in Winslow Township. Surveillance video shows the man raging, throwing the candy, then smashing the front door. I'm Eric Scott, and this is the Town Square News Network.
Another day to stay out of the ocean. A high risk of rip currents and rough surf continues. Ocean wave heights up to 11 feet today. The red flags will be flying. Weather-wise, big improvements, becoming mostly sunny and pleasant with highs in the mid to upper 70s today. Clear and quiet tonight, lows in the lower to mid 60s. Tomorrow looks good too. Mix of sun and clouds. Nice and warm with highs in the lower to mid 80s. We could see a few showers late day tomorrow. And then Friday, feeling like fall. Another cool down, mostly cloudy, highs around 70. Chance for rain Friday night. I'm meteorologist Dan Zero.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Thank you very much. Welcome to Chuck Malamut's All About Financial Matters program every Tuesday morning, typically. And I want to thank both Kirk, who's just leaving, and Chuck for agreeing to switch to today so that I was able to spend yesterday with my family. I went back and forth Sunday night into Monday, and really it was taxing. It was very physically draining. And if I had done that for another day, it would not have been good. And I really appreciate that both Kirk and Chuck were willing to move to today. And if someone is with us on a Wednesday, because Chuck, other than if we were doing some kind of breaking news, quick call type thing, I don't know that we've ever done Chuck's program on a Wednesday in all these years, which is 26 years. So it's great to have Chuck here. He's the managing director. He leads his team, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office, 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. That's 609-383-2010. This program is presented by Chuck, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this broadcast are those of Chuck and do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast and are subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, member SIPC. Chuck, it's only been a week and one day, but so much has happened.
Good morning, Harry.
Good morning to you. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, from the local scene, needless to say, I agree with you 110% with respect to what's happening with Stockton. As my daughter attends there, loves the university, but I'd be curious because I listened to you and Denny. I guess it was yesterday or the day Monday, and you made a statement that you were in touch with thousands of dollars of potential contributors or past contributors that have made a decision on a go-forward basis they will not be making contributions
and incidentally,
to the university.
And incidentally, that's absolutely true. I did say that. Not to be like incendiary or anything or inflame something, but because it was true and it had happened in such voluminous numbers. And these are people, very famous people in our community, many of them graduates, many of them just longtime Stockton lifelong lovers. And they're absolutely not contributing unless this thing is worked out correctly. And the Board of Trustees, they've shown no courage, no spine. Meg Worthington, Michael Jacobson, the rest of you, you should all be removed, and let's put people in that aren't afraid to lead. This is an embarrassment that they have not been heard of in a week. But one thing I did go on record as saying, Chuck, that I'm not pulling back on my level of contributions. We have made, when you count all the contributions that we have made, I'm not even counting my two daughters and the tens of thousands of dollars that amounts to, but also the $12,000 contribution to the G. Larry James Legacy Fund, the Joan Finner Nursing Scholarship that was initially, I believe, an $8,000 contribution, and we've made several four-figure contributions since the initial contribution. So when you add it all up, it's tens of thousands of dollars. I don't play economic terrorism. I'm not pulling back. I love the organization. I love the school. This decision is wrong-headed, and at this point, it is a stubborn president of the university that is doubling down on a decision that even he knows is terrible. I know he knows that because he's a good man and he's a smart man, but he showed me a characteristic trait that I didn't know he possessed. He has this sad trait of when you're wrong, they're unwilling to admit it. There was even a clean way that this could have been done with nobody getting anything rubbed in their face, and they didn't take the opportunity. Then the board failed to lead, and then the president doubled down, and it's a tragedy, actually, what's unfolding. Very sad.
I think, Harry, it'd be interesting if you polled the student body, and I would venture to say 3/4 of them have absolutely no idea who the founder of Stockton University is.
Yeah, number one, they don't even know his background. They probably, even a majority don't even know he's one of the 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence. I guarantee you like 90% don't know that he was a slave owner, and that's actually been drawn into question whether he was a slave owner. And his entire life is now being painted through this moment in history where if you were a slave owner 200 and some years ago, you now get your statue torn down, your naming rights, incinerated. It's terrible.
Hopefully this will not go too much further, Harry, and it will get corrected.
Well, I think it is. The board is gutless, and that's why I'm now on a campaign. I'm going to urge my good friend Governor Christie to start asking board members to leave, and then when they don't leave, because many of them won't leave, that they get replaced at the earliest possible time. Unfortunately, because of a past controversy, many board members left. So these 6-year terms are very long, and a lot of these board members have a number of years, sadly. They're like senators that have a 6-year term.
They'll go on forever.
Yeah, exactly. It's disgusting, and they're disgusting. But you are not, and we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
I want to turn it over to you because, quote unquote, my friend, volatility is back, isn't it?
Yeah. So Harry, it's pretty interesting that we don't want to focus on one particular day, but yesterday, if you want to talk about volatility, with North Korea, and that basically drove the market in the morning down 150, 175 pre-market, and we opened up. It wasn't quite that bad, and then what happened? The market flipped around, was actually positive for the day. If I saw correctly, Harry, it was the largest intraday swing that we've had literally in the course, basically almost in a year. But if you want to talk about daily volatility, going into yesterday, what has happened over the last 12 trading days versus the first 152 trading days of 2017. The last 12 trading days and the first 152 trading days each produced 4 days that closed with a plus or minus total return in the S&P 500, gain or loss. So think about this. You had 4 out of 152, and now you had 4 out of 12, which is really now 5 out of 13, and when you take into account, what happened yesterday. So
this is your latest example, Chuck Malamut, of the difference between spending time in the market, I feel like I'm doing a Malamut commercial, versus trying to time the market.
Oh, absolutely, Harry. You would have walked in yesterday with the intention of selling all your positions because of what happened in North Korea. And again, I'm not taking that incident lightly, but
you're putting it in context.
I think what you have to do is, and we've had so many calls about the devastation in Texas and now carrying over to Louisiana, and the market really hasn't skipped much of a beat here. Oil refineries are shut down, production is being cut. Your favorite topic, unleaded gas at the pump. I mean, you're going, and I'm getting a little off track here, Harry, but I think you're going to see the price at the pump probably move upwards of 30 to 35 cents a gallon.
That's the most I heard anybody say. I've heard 15 to 25.
No, they're talking 30 to 35.
But you know what, Chuck? Look, if you looked at the graphic that I did and you saw the refinery capacity that is presently down, you understand that. I think we're fortunate in that the prices have been really historically low, when you take into consideration inflation and everything else to today's era, where this won't be good, because I'm of the Malamut school that every penny that you add onto a gallon of gasoline takes more than $1 billion out of the economy.
So, Harry, what will happen is, in all likelihood, in the next 2 weeks, you're going to see those prices increase at the pump. Now, what has happened to the price of oil, per barrel, West Texas, really hasn't moved. It actually has moved down slightly, and the problem is it's getting the crude to the refinery, getting into the pipe, getting to be produced and getting into the pipeline, so to get to the respective spots. But in all likelihood, I think what you'll see is that you'll get that spike in unleaded at the pump, and then over the next, I'll call it, Harry, 2 months or so, 3 months. And again, I don't make predictions, as you know, but this is just more our thinking that you will get the price at the pump back down to the level where it is today.
I would hope. That would be honest. What I was fearful of, Chuck, they take advantage of a crisis, raise it, but then when the refinery capacity is back, they don't lower the price.
Well,
Harry,
look, it's a matter of supply and demand. I mean, if you have the crude, and it can be it can be refined, and they continue, they get the all these production outlets opened, refineries opened. Why would the price continue to move higher once they start recycling back into the inventory?
How do they get away with raising the price with oil that's in the tanks, that's in the ground? I mean, for example, places started raising the price of a gallon of gasoline immediately. That doesn't seem fair.
No, it doesn't seem fair, Harry. But it's like
next time you need to get it, it's more. But you shouldn't get to raise it when it's already in your tank in the ground.
I don't disagree with you, Harry, but unfortunately that is a phenomenon that you and I will never, ever be able to answer.
It's true. 16 minutes past the hour. We're going to be right back. Here's a reminder, and if you think about it, our friends in Texas and Louisiana is not going to get hit as hard, but they're going and are presently getting hit. 15 trillion gallons of water. Have you heard that number before I just said it?
I have,
okay.
Yeah. You can't even imagine it.
It's impossible to process. 52 inches in some areas, and they might get another 4 to 6 today. But we're talking 15 trillion gallons of water. What I'm saying is our friends that are affected by Hurricane Harvey need our help, and it is easy to donate. The thing they need the most are donations. I know people can get creative and think about clothes and things at basics that people absolutely need, and they're getting these at the shelters. But you can visit redcross.org or call 1-800-HELP-NOW, or on your smartphone you can text Harvey, Harvey, text Harvey to 90999. And we have details up at WPGTalkRadio.com as well. Back with Chuck Malamut. Don't go away. We'll be back in just 2 minutes.
Here at Town Square Media, we're not your average radio group. From web design to e-commerce to social media and the latest in mobile technology, we employ an arsenal of services to help our clients build their businesses. But we can't do it without a dedicated sales staff. We're experiencing record growth, and we're looking for seasoned sales professionals with drive and determination to help us grow even more. We offer an excellent base salary with high commission rates, an unlimited earning potential, and full benefits. Plus, we offer major market experience without the major market commute. At Town Square Media, you'll get the opportunity to make a real difference to thousands of local businesses, and you'll have a lot of fun along the way. If you're an experienced salesperson with a proven track record of success, then Town Square Media might have an opportunity for you. To learn more about outside sales opportunities, contact Mike Rubel, Market Manager, at 609-645-9797. That's 609-645-9797. Town Square Media is an equal opportunity employer. 609-645-9797.
Your credit card companies love you. They love it when your cards stay maxed out. They love it when you only make minimum payments. They love it when you struggle. Why? Because they own you. And minimum payments mean maximum profits. Here's great news. National Debt Relief is now offering you free information on how to escape your credit card debt nightmare. If you owe more than $10,000 in credit card debt and only barely making minimum payments, know this. You may not have to pay it all back. In fact, you may have the right to settle that debt for only a fraction of what you owe. National Debt Relief has helped thousands of people get rid of over $500 million of debt, and they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Get the information you need for free right now before this offer goes away. Call National Debt Relief now and escape your credit card debt troubles. 800-910-4005. 800-910-4005. 800-910-4005.
Hi, it's Mark Levin. Join me at 6 this evening. Now back to the Mayor of the Morning, Harry Hurley, on WPG Talk Radio 104.1, South Jersey's talk station.
We're back. 20 minutes past the hour. Chuck Malamut, yours truly, Hurley in the Morning. Chuck Malamut, the official, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. For all of your financial planning needs, turn to Chuck, 609-383-2010. And there are a couple of things on Chuck's list today that I am so pleased that we're going to be talking about. And all these are important. A couple that are near and dear to me are coming up in just a little bit. Equity market performance in the fourth quarter, Chuck. What do you have to say?
So, Harry, as we mentioned, getting into August, August typically is a very, very slow month, and as we've seen that with volume, it has been relatively quiet. But the fourth quarter, October, November, December, if you look at average monthly performance over the course, you line up the 12 months, they are ranked 2, 3, and 5 of average monthly performance of the S&P 500. October is the second best month of the year. Typically, November is the third best, typically, and December is typically the fifth best. Now, if you take those 3 months on a combined basis, they've jointly gained, Harry, just shy of 5% per year total return, and that is inclusive of dividend over the last 25 years, or 54% of the index's total return over the entire 25-year period when we measured this performance. So, again, you oftentimes hear about the awful months in the market. Selling, what has it go? Sell in May and run away or something, or go away, but I mean, they have all these sayings for all these respective months. But as it turns out, I think most people lose sight of the fact that the fourth quarter typically is a very, very important part of total return in the equity markets. Now, I think that kind of flies in the face of what a lot of strategists are saying right now, that all the gains have been put in, for the year in the S&P 500 and the Dow and the NASDAQ, and we're just kind of mark time here as we get towards the end of the year. So I'm very, very curious to see what happens as we get into the fourth quarter. And as you know, very, very quiet now. There's a lot going on. I mean, we're seeing, as far as what is being reported, and we're witnessing and participating in Houston and North Korea. But from a reporting perspective, it's pretty radio silent in our world at this point in time.
What does that say that in days gone by, certain what you would call geopolitical events would actually, I guess this might be, well, I'm going to say it's not an over-exaggeration, could crush the markets. But the markets are just dealing with all the, is it that we're just getting used to what we've talked about on this program? And it's a term I hate. I wrote a whole column about how much I hate it, but the new norm?
Harry, I don't want to quite coin it as the new norm.
Well, if we have, look, Chuck, we took 15 trillion gallons of water, and it's the worst rainfall event in the history of, I think, North America. Certainly the United States of America and the continental United States. Wouldn't that normally have the markets would have taken a beating?
I guess maybe I'm going to rephrase it a little bit differently. It's not, I don't want to call it the new norm. But what I think I want to call it, it's the market is acting more maturely than it has, in previous years.
Do you attribute that to there's so much information now available? I mean, there could be, we talk about the downside of the ticker being on the screen all day long and driving people crazy to get too into their head about minute to minute rather than, as you say, spending time in the market rather than trying to time the market. Could the fact that we are so information technology, just it's available, that big events kind of like water over the duck's back, I mean, they just don't seem to have the impact?
Well, Harry, I'm going to maybe disagree with you a little bit, because I think sometimes when you get, you're drinking out of a fire hose when you get this information as quickly as you get it. And oftentimes a lot of investors, overreact to situations. And again, a typical, let's look at yesterday. I mean, you would think when I woke up in the morning, Dow futures were down significantly, and basically it was all tied to North Korea, and a matter of working through the day, the market turned positive around noontime, sort of waffled a little bit, and then at the end of the day, was up. Now.
Yeah. And I kind of equate that to we're supposed to be upset about this, so we better get a little negative about it. But then the day goes on, and you know what? We're not that upset about it. And all right, they lit off an intercontinental ballistic missile over Japan, and by the end of the day, it's okay. I mean, it's almost
no. It's not okay.
No, what I'm saying is the markets behaved like it was okay.
The markets are focusing on fundamentals, and this is something that we continue to talk about, Harry, with you, your listeners, and our clients.
Let me try to push this theory on you one more time, and you can disagree with it. Again, I'm not sold on it, but in days gone by, remember when you used to have to wait until the nightly news? That's when people got their news. They weren't getting it all day, and they were only getting the nightly news that the networks, and there were 3 of them, and 3 only, would decide that you would get. Now, you get it second by second. So what I'm saying is what used to take longer to process. For example, if bad news hit at the end of the day, it could have a hangover effect on markets for days to come. But now we digest and we go so rapidly through the news cycle each and every day so fast that we get from start to finish very quickly. Get what I'm saying?
I agree with you on that, but
that's the point I'm making.
Your point is well taken, but I think what happens is oftentimes, because we've had I don't know how many conversations over the last several weeks over non-fundamental market-driven activities. Interestingly enough, the news cycle has now moved off of the president
and Russia
and everything that's coming out of Washington and focusing in on Houston, Texas, Louisiana, and Korea. Now, it's just a matter of time before it cycles back and we're back to Washington. So I'm thinking, Harry, probably right after Labor Day is going to be the time when that's going to happen again.
Very interesting. He's Chuck Malamut. I am Hurley in the morning. Personal savings rate. What can the great Chuck Malamut say about that?
Well, Harry, interestingly enough, and this is sort of goes, it's a little counterintuitive when you look at what is happening with respect, to savings. The personal savings rate right now in the United States fell to 3.8% during the month of June. It's been the lowest level that we've seen, Harry, in almost 9 years. That was right before, or in the midst of, the Great Recession. The all-time low for savings rate is 1.9%, and that was registered in July 2005. And what savings, Harry, is defined as after-tax income minus consumption spending divided by after-tax income. So it's not a very complicated formula, but I think what I wanted to point out here is that we're not saving enough money, and for the average consumer. But on the flip side, the market actually likes that because the consumers are out there.
Chuck's laughing because I just laughed when you said that because that's so counterintuitive that I just love it.
But because the consumer is out there spending, and as we always talked about, the three-legged stools of the economy, and one of which is what? The consumer. Now, Harry, Houston is what, the 4th largest city in the country?
Yeah.
And I'm very, very curious. And as you know, I heard this stat the other day. Maybe it was 1.2 million homes were affected, of which maybe 25% at best had flood insurance, of which it was minimal.
Yeah, most people are not insured or not insured enough.
And so when you look at the devastation of that loss, of the wealth that is lost, I'm very, very curious if there's going to be a ripple effect within our economy. Now, our markets are obviously saying something different because again, the market is a leading indicator. And I think we would have had a different result in the market from the time this storm, actually, developed last week.
Wow. Let's get our bottom of the hour break in. Much more with Chuck Malamut straight ahead. We're going to cover student loans, which is a big topic for me, and I think for many. Corporate earnings growth, prospects for tax reform, something I don't care for even a little bit. We'll see what Chuck has to say about it. Bitcoin. I've never liked this since the first time I heard about it, and most people don't even know what it is. Can you trade it? What is it? What is Bitcoin? We'll get into all of this in our next segment straight ahead with Chuck. Here's something you're not going to like, Chuck, and I don't like it. None of us are going to like it. My good friend Bob Progner, and we stayed at his beautiful inn for 2 days with many of my family members. We had just a tremendous time. He just told me about 5 minutes ago, but I didn't want to interrupt you at the moment. You were on such a roll, Chuck. But Fox News is reporting that a new tropical depression off Africa is forecasted to become a major hurricane that will track toward the East Coast. I wrote back to Bob, oh no, with like 10 O's after N. And oh my gosh, I don't even want to think about that. We'll be back with Chuck Malamut, the official, the exclusive financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. And you can reach the Malamut Group for all of your financial planning needs. And when we're talking about college building, if you do your college building properly, you won't be stuck with 6 figures in student loans. So listen to Chuck very closely when we come back. And you can reach him and his team at 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs.
Who's the most listened to afternoon talk show host in South Jersey? It's Sean Hannity on WPG Talk Radio 104.1. Sean tells it like it is.
I'm so sick of the media. They're basically all opinion now. And their opinion is they hate Donald Trump. They're throwing every bit of paper against the wall, hoping something sticks.
South Jersey's #1 afternoon talk show host is Sean Hannity. Weekdays 3 to 6 on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Your credit card companies love you. They love it when your cards stay maxed out. They love it when you only make minimum payments. They love it when you struggle. Why? Because they own you. And minimum payments mean maximum profits. Here's great news. National Debt Relief is now offering you free information on how to escape your credit card debt nightmare. If you owe more than $10,000 in credit card debt and only barely making minimum payments, know this. You may not have to pay it all back. In fact, you may have the right to settle that debt for only a fraction of what you owe. National Debt Relief has helped thousands of people get rid of over $500 million of debt, and they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Get the information you need for free right now before this offer goes away. Call National Debt Relief now and escape your credit card debt troubles. 800-910-4005. 800-910-4005. 800-910-4005.
Hey, wake up with Harry Hurley and drive home with me, Sean Hannity, 3 to 6. It's all happening here on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Thank you very much. Welcome back. 33 minutes past the hour. Chuck, because my head's going in a million directions. Was there anything more on personal savings rate that you wanted to share?
Let's get into
student loans.
Yeah, this is Harry. This is remarkable. I mean,
do you agree with your little brother Harry that this is? I'm not saying it's exactly the same as like the tech bubble, but I've been saying for a number of years now on your show and on Hurley in the Morning in general for a lot of years, this is a serious issue that's at some point going to implode big time.
Yeah, so let's look at some historical standards here, Harry. Currently, there's 42 million Americans, 42 million, that owe $1.3 trillion in student loan debt. Let's roll it back to 2002, 15 years ago. At that point in time, 1 out of 20 borrowers, or 5%, had loans of at least $50,000 in 2002. 15 years ago, 1 in 6, or 16%, had loans of at least $50,000. Compare that to where we are today. Now, I am not going to sit here and bang the table and talk about credit card installment debt. And remember when things got really, really crazy, all the home equity lines were called, frozen. There was no consumer available debt, to borrow against. And I think you're absolutely right. And if we need to be very, very concerned about the levels of student debt.
How bad is it that a lot of this, let's just be honest about it, it's what I'm about, it's what you're always about, Chuck. A lot of this debt, this 1 point, whatever you said, $3 trillion plus, is never going to be paid back. And I'll give you specific reasons why, and you'll do better than me, but I'll share with you what I know about this because I am, in this business of student loans, not my own, but Parent Plus. A Parent Plus loan dies with me.
When the borrower.
Or if the student dies. Mm-hmm. So one of those events happens a lot, and they're almost all going to happen before you pay it all off because this stuff is, able to be put out many decades. So a lot of this money, I would venture to say, if I had to guess, you can't discharge it with bankruptcy, or it would even be higher, what I'm about to say. I'm going to say 2/3 of this, and I think I'm conservative, will never be paid back.
Harry, I'm not going to comment on that because I think that number is a little high.
Okay.
I think,
if I'm high, do you still agree a lot of it
will not get paid back, and I think the big concern is not so much when the loan dies when the parent or the student dies.
See, that's why I'm counting 2/3 because I'm saying there will be a certain percentage they can't pay, and so they won't pay, and there'll be a certain amount of it that's discharged.
I think the big concern is the former, not the latter. It's the fact that, those that take the loans that do not have the ability to pay back during their lifetime. And that's going to have, unfortunately, a devastating effect on their respective credit reports, which ultimately, sort of flows into, purchasing homes and being able to maintain those residents. So, I think there's an impact here other than the loan not getting paid, how it affects the overall economy. And again, I think that you and I have had this discussion before. It's just remarkable how these institutions have the ability, and basically sort of in a moment's notice. They do let you know in advance that we're raising our tuition by 3%, 5%, 7%.
Yeah.
With really no justification other than the fact, quote, our costs are going higher.
And Chuck, it's not just Cornell, where you're a distinguished graduate of, highly credentialed graduate of Cornell University, or the very big, institutions with the big price tags. Even reasonably modest.
Well, Harry, I challenge your listeners to come.
6 figures of debt.
Yeah, I challenge your listeners to come back and tell you, with their children or grandchildren that they have helped educate and pay for. What percentage of the time when you're making those payments did your tuition remain the same year over year, or in fact decline?
Never.
I think
I'm one. You can. I'll be a part of your human case study. Never.
So I'm going to say I'm going to be a little more optimistic. I'm going to say 98% of the time it doesn't happen.
You are so good. You are so conservative.
That on occasion you will not get an increase in tuition. But we can sit here and banter back and forth about the necessity of getting a degree, and it's no longer 4 years. It's now you need to get you need to go to grad school, get your MBA, move on. Job market's tighter, but the job market is now loosening up, which is good. I saw, Harry, right when we went to break, that ADP came with their number.
Yeah, I saw that.
In advance. We come Friday with the monthly jobs report. But the ADP number for the month of August was significantly better than expectation. It came at, I'm trying to get the number
here. Was it
188,000? I believe it was. And it was, I'll get my hands on it here in a second, Harry, but it was about 30 to 40,000 higher than what the anticipated number was. So anyway.
Now, by the way, in fairness to the truth, hasn't that been a pretty typical thing for this year? Where
ADP's been pretty accurate.
Right. What I'm saying, though, too, is how I mean it is the jobs numbers have been consistently better than forecasted.
Yes, you're absolutely
Almost,
correct.
I think with the exception of 1 month, the whole year, it's been like that. For some reason, Chuck, and I don't have it in front of me, and I only heard it one time, I heard Fox News in my ear, but I had my headset on in one ear, off in another. I'm almost sure I heard them say 188,000.
I think you're right, Harry, on that one.
But I'm going to look it up with you.
So, anyway, why don't we move on, because we're kind of pressed here for time.
So we're going to go to corporate earnings growth.
So when you look, Harry, at what has transpired, we're pretty much we are obviously through Q2. We've had a few companies on occasion that are reporting, but for the most part, the great majority of earnings are in. If you look year over year, corporate earnings for the first half of 2017 were very, very strong. But I think, Harry, what we need to remember is the fact that the comps that we used year over year were based on a pretty weak 2016.
Chuck, quick question for you for a second to the last topic, because I want to give our listeners accurate information. Would the number that ADP reported today, would that be July numbers or would that be August numbers?
It should be August.
That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I can't find it, but I know I heard it.
I saw it come across.
July was 178,000, and I'll find it. But anyhow, I didn't want to interrupt you. I just want to get that out there.
All right. So the earnings that we looked at for Q1 and 2 versus 2017, significantly strong on a comparative basis versus a weak 2016. So we think that earnings growth is going to probably slow to the mid-single-digit range by next year, which could ultimately drag a little bit on what investors are thinking about, because they're not getting that big year-over-year growth. Because think about it now, we're raising the bar fairly significantly in 2017 to measure against ultimately in 2018. Make sense?
Makes sense when you say it. It does make perfect sense. How about prospects for tax reform?
I do.
That to me is with the failure to either repeal and or replace the Affordable Care Act. There are a lot of promises have been made. This to me, they have to deliver on this.
Yeah, I mean, you and Kirk, I think, I'm getting a little repetitive here because you and Kirk, covered this last hour, but obviously there's a lot of work to be done, and we do need some additional clarification coming out of Washington. But being that our president and the Republicans that you again talked about last hour, they're desperate, Harry, for any sort of win at this point. I mean, think about what has not happened, from January. We're pretty confident that they will be able to come together on some sort of modest tax reform proposal. Kirk mentioned it. How we need to cut the corporate tax rate. We're the highest in the world, and that's just remarkable. And we may see some sort of reform, Harry, with individual tax rates as well. But again, the jury's still out, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done, for that to happen. And if it doesn't happen, the results.
Without a doubt. And how about this Bitcoin? I think a lot of people have heard it before, but don't really know what it is. A lot of people haven't heard of it at all. Is Bitcoin something that actually is like currency? It's transactions.
It's a cryptocurrency, Harry, and if you talk to the younger generation,
people thought Bitcoin was really going to catch on.
Well, no, but it has to a certain degree, and I think if you look at the history of Bitcoin and these cryptocurrencies, what was the purpose? The purpose was to be able to transact business across the dark web.
Yeah, they created a currency outside of the official American currency.
So the first cryptocurrency, or Bitcoin is referred to, was actually created in 2009 and is up an incredible 620% in dollar terms over the past 3 years. Now, that has created a lot of attention.
So for people that are believers, this is big. It's got to be.
So what happens? Yeah, I mean, it's Bitcoin as a result of this has become a highly profitable short-term investment.
By the way, Chuck, is this just to give context? I know you don't talk about like any one stock or any one thing, but we're having this general conversation. Is this up 600% off of a penny stock type of scenario? I know it doesn't trade, but is this off of pennies or is this 600%?
It originally started, at a very, very low value. And there, in addition to Bitcoin, I think, Harry, there's up to 20 different cryptocurrencies that are out there right now. Now,
who's the profile of a person that would be using Bitcoin?
Well, the profile typically, Harry, I believe, is the younger generation. And instead of owning a Bitcoin, they can own pieces of a Bitcoin. And they can trade those pieces of Bitcoin via a wallet that you hold on your smartphone. And
you can transact with it.
You can. Now, there are not a lot of vendors at this point in time that are taking Bitcoin. 3 out of the top 500 online retailers are accepting Bitcoin right now in 2017.
So there's a Bitcoin market.
There is, but Harry, I think the point I want to try to make here, and because I have this conversation with the younger generation, I think, Harry, Bitcoin is here to stay. The problem with Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency right now is the way it trades. And it is very, very volatile. It can move in the course of a day 10% in one direction or another, move significantly more than in terms versus the U.S. dollar. So, I mean, if you're looking,
so it's volatile.
It's very volatile. I mean, so if you're on the right side of that trade to make that purchase, you're fine. So think about a retailer. Why, are you going to take on that risk of owning that cryptocurrency if the market goes against you? Now, conversely, if you took in Bitcoin 3-4 months ago, you should be very, very happy because you've had some significant price appreciation.
What are some of the examples of what you could buy with Bitcoin?
Well, how you can go online.
So they would take it as payment.
They take it as payment. You can go into a merchant, and some merchants take it. And I think what will happen is you're going to see these cryptocurrencies begin to take hold over the next 5 to 10 years.
Chuck, you've known me forever, so you know this about me. I'm progressive when it comes to like technology and things, and I like that a lot. I like having a lot of technology, and I like to use it. But I'm an old soul at the same time. This is not something that is appealing to me. Bitcoin is.
Well, it's not. Look, it's not, Harry. I'm not.
No, I know you're not promoting it.
No, I'm not particularly thrilled with it either because
I don't like it.
I think if you look, and again, by historical standards, why was Bitcoin created? What is it morphed into? I think that all makes sense, and I think what the average investor or retailer needs to think about is until you can work through this volatility, imagine a currency moving 10% in a day.
And I'm going to tell you why I think that is. And people, and even we have complained, or I should say I have complained about the Fed if I think the Fed is using either identity politics or political correctness and raising just to help one party over another. And anybody that doesn't admit that that's happened in the course of just our lifetime is just either naive or dishonest. But I like the fact, and I know some people don't, but I like the fact that we have structure, we have order, we have the Federal Reserve Board, we have other Fed boards in major cities, New York, San Francisco, and other places. We have a Treasury Department, we have an executive branch. We have a very orderly, even if people want to complain, we have a very orderly structure. Where's the Bitcoin Federal Reserve Board?
Harry, you're absolutely right.
It's like the Wild West of currency.
It's not there.
Is that an okay analogy?
It's a perfect analogy because I have the same thought process because it's something. Look, you can go into your pocket and you can pull out a U.S. dollar, and you know what it's worth.
Yes.
You can't go into your pocket and pull out a Bitcoin. Thank you. I will take. Oh, Harry, very, very generous. Thank you.
I gave Chuck my stack. It's a small
wow.
stack. It's a small stack.
It's interesting. You have the large bills on the outside and the small bills on the inside.
Yeah, it's part of my.
Is that the mindset?
It's part of my absolute just control freakdom that I have to keep that in order.
So,
some would call it OCD, but I won't admit to that.
Yeah, well, I'll call it something different. But
Yeah.
but anyway, I think the point is that Harry, I think Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies are here to stay. I think they will evolve into a process that makes sense. For you and I to want to be owners of Bitcoin or these other cryptocurrencies, we and I'm speaking on behalf of you and probably a lot of your listeners and investors, that you want to have a little more volatility.
And you are sanctioned.
No. So you want to have you want to have a little less volatility.
Yes.
You don't want to get a 10% movement in a currency in a day.
No.
You can accept. Look. You can accept like the British pound from 1.295 to 1.298.
Yeah.
I mean, that's acceptable standards, but you can't. A 10% movement is really tough to digest. I mean, it's great on the upside, but it's absolutely horrible on the downside. So
I would love to know. I know today's not the day. I'd love to know who started this. How did this come about? How did it take root? How does it even count? How can there be anything? And incidentally, I would have thought creating a currency outside of our American currency would not even be legal.
Harry, I am right with you, and I mean,
okay if you go. I'm okay if you go to a game room and you get tokens. When you play skee ball or ninjas. Ninja fruit. I mean, I'm okay with deal or no deal. You get either tickets or the token things. But creating a almost like faux currency, I don't even know how.
Harry, I'm right with you. I've had these same discussions.
It's crazy.
With the younger generation, and I still can't wrap my arms around it. And I'm really trying hard to do it.
Because you know what it is? Too much life. We have too much life experience that we've lived. And if you come of age now, it doesn't seem strange because there it is. And it's just another, it's like there's Uber or there's Lyft. But for us, there's a Federal Reserve note. And until this country ever lets us down for the first time, there has never been one occasion, even though people say, I want it backed by gold, I want it backed by silver. It's just paper. There's never been one occasion that anybody intellectually, honestly could ever say where a Federal Reserve note has not been fully honored.
You are absolutely correct, Harry. I agree with you on that. I just wanted to.
But if I had some faux Bitcoin,
I think if you asked your listeners, there's probably a great majority that aren't even familiar with Bitcoin.
Correct.
Yet alone how it works, and believe me, I'm right with you trying to
Chuck,
understand.
I don't think 25% of the country has ever heard of Bitcoin.
I think you're being generous with that number. I think it's more like probably about 80. I mean, the younger generation gets it. The old guys and gals, I guess, we're all being accused of we were created with dinosaurs and black and white televisions, so
it's true.
It's amazing.
And we could watch Wizard of Oz once a year. Chuck, it is always
Harry,
a pleasure, my man.
Thanks for having me.
I've loved it.
I'll see you next week.
For all of your financial planning needs, don't do as I say, do as I already do. Turn to Chuck Malamut, the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office, 609-383-2010. 609-383-2010. It will be my job in a few minutes to say something utterly brilliant. This portion of Early in the Morning is brought to us in part by Resorts Casino Hotel Atlantic City, the official casino hotel for the Early in the Morning program. And for beer lovers, you can raise your glass to Resort's 5th annual Craft Beer Fest. This is a very popular event. You can sample over 70 incredible beers from around the country, as well as local and regional breweries. Plus, enjoy live music by Weird Science, and you'll have a souvenir tasting glass, all for $30. That's Saturday, September 16th, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Resorts Casino Hotel on the boardwalk. It's 1333 Boardwalk, or just the boardwalk at North Carolina Avenue. Pennsylvania Avenue, you can get in as well. Visit them on the World Wide Web at resortsac.com for more details. Tickets are on sale right now at Ticketmaster.com or the Resorts box office. Gambling problem? Call 1-800 gambler. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Deborah Heart and Lung Center. For innovative care, demand Deborah.
What's one of the dirtiest objects in your home? If you said your kitchen sponge, you would be correct. A recent study in Scientific Reports suggests the kitchen sponge might be more of a health hazard than we thought. A kitchen sponge is the ideal breeding ground for bacteria, and some bacteria can resist cleaning and quickly grow and spread. Some of these bacteria could lead to serious infection, especially in people with compromised immune systems. Cleaning with very hot water in the dishwasher or in the microwave may help, but advice from many researchers is to throw away your sponge when it starts to get an odor and replace it with a new one. Also, don't use your sponge to clean up juice from raw meat, dirt from fruits and vegetables, or food debris. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Deborah Heart and Lung Center. For innovative care, demand Deborah.
This portion of Early in the Morning brought to us in part by Dr. Mark Newkirk and Newkirk Family Veterinarians, a trusted name in pet care for more than 32 years. Dr. Newkirk's office is located at 3085 English Creek Avenue in Egg Harbor Township, 609-645-2120 to schedule an appointment. Dr. Newkirk is on the World Wide Web at Newkirk Family Veterinarians, and Dr. Newkirk is a trusted name in pet care. He offers both traditional medicine and surgery and holistic and alternative care, depending on which measure works best in your particular case. Elaborate in-house care is available for your pets, including all lab and x-ray facilities right on premises. Dr. Newkirk offers state-of-the-art treatment facilities, including the region's only hydrotherapy and rehabilitation center. Dr. Newkirk uses laser treatment. He's had great success with stem cell therapy and more. Your pet is a member of your family. Trust them to Dr. Newkirk and his fine team of professionals at Newkirk Family Veterinarians.
Hello, I'm Anthony Marchetta, Executive Director of the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency. Tired of paying rent or living with family? Ready to own your own home but need help with your down payment and closing costs? Take advantage of our forgivable loan programs today and make your dream of homeownership in New Jersey a reality. Discover your options at theroadhomenj.com. That's theroadhomenj.com. Here's Tiffany, who took advantage of one of our loan programs.
Hi, I'm Tiffany from Burlington County. My husband and I are happy homeowners today because of the tremendous help we received with our down payment and closing costs. We were able to buy much sooner than we ever thought possible, and it made a huge difference in our lives.
So get started today and check out our loan programs by visiting our website at theroadhomenj.com. That's theroadhomenj.com.
This message sponsored by the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency, the New Jersey Broadcasters Association, and this station.
The Insane Inflatable 5K is coming to town, so grab your friends, create some crazy, insane costumes, and sign up today. Get fit while having fun. Here's your chance to get with friends and kick off your weekend with an insanely good time. Check out the Insane Inflatable 5K and register early to take advantage of special savings at insaneinflatable5k.com.
The Insane Inflatable 5K is the most fun, wild, and insane obstacle run in the world. And on Saturday, October 7th, it's at the Flying W Airport in Medford. Brought to you by State Farm.
Hey, I want to send a shout out to a really good friend of mine. His name is Joe. He asks his friends to call him Joe. He asked me to call him Joseph. Get it, Joe? But this is somebody that is extremely successful in business and industry. Very, very successful, self-made, started a great company that just keeps getting better and better, bigger and bigger. And he had never heard of Bitcoin until this interview. I know, and it's no insult. I only know of Bitcoin just because of my job. I wouldn't know about it either. But it's so remarkable, though, if people had invested. Now, you never know. The challenge is who's the last one holding the bag, though, because I just don't see this as something enduring, but I could be wrong. But if you got involved with it, I mean, it's up thousands of %, I think, from the beginning, 3,000% or something. But yeah, I've got a lot of text messages and social media messages and emails on Bitcoin. Most people having never heard of it before. Some that have heard of it but don't know the first thing about it. And I have to admit, I don't know that much about it. I know that you can use it, that it is used as a currency of sorts, and that you can buy things with it. But I don't understand the whole concept of it. I mean, I don't want to get into some of the... I remember when it first started, and there was a certain profile of who was using Bitcoin, but it has gone well beyond that one dimension at this point in time. And also, Joe remembered, and it was a beautiful time of year, and you never missed it because you had to wait a full year when The Wizard of Oz came on national television once a year, and that was it.
104.1 WPGG Atlantic City, WSJO 104.9 HD2 Egg Harbor City. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
Shore Medical Center Presents is next.
The flooding gets worse again in Texas. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's water inside a home near Port Arthur. Galen Phillips posted it on Periscope as he walked through his living room.
The water is 5-6 feet deep on Samar Street.
That's Port Arthur Mayor Derek Freeman says nearly every house in the city is flooded, and they're doing what they can to rescue people amid a ton of 911 calls.
We're trying to get to them wherever they are. We just